Hey everybody, I'm Anna McEwen. And now for Bob Switzer with the epic narrative.
And away we go. Here we are back at the epic narrative. Thank you so much, Anna, for that introduction. She does it so well. I love her voice. She is an amazing young lady. And hopefully you all will get the chance to meet her someday in your life, because you will be blessed. You will be blessed. All right. We're in Judges 13. This is I mapped this out years ago, and it turned out to be perfect. We got 5 episodes on the life of Samson here coming up. Now these I remember I remember doing this when I was a camp program director at Lakeside Christian Camp. Now that no longer exists. Much like many camps, it couldn't be sustained without money. I mean, that's the bottom line. But we had a nice run there, really nice run, and I did this 5-part series on Samson, and I was surprised that it went 5. And I remembered when I saw it in Judges here, and I was like, "Oh, this is great, Samson." I forgot that it takes like 5 rounds to get through it. It's a really great story. And I'm sure if you've never heard the epic narrative do a story, you will realize that some things that maybe you didn't know before, or at least a perspective that maybe you haven't heard before. Because we got a lot to go. All right, sorry, I was going to start listing the things I learned, but we'll list them as we go. Verse 1, again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, so the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. Holy cow, that's a long time. The results of your sin is rampant in the nation. And remember, the idea of sin and judgment in the Hebrew world is the idea that you sit in the path that you made. So you sit in your own mess. Now, they give God credit for that. They say, well, that's the way God designed it, so he gets credit for it. But you did it, and you have those results. So these guys are dealing with the results of their sin for 40 years. Now, I turn, at the time of this recording, I turned 60 in a few weeks. That's crazy to me. I remember when I was, 10 and somebody who was 18 seemed like an adult. Oh, and then when I became really involved with youth, I was right. Good grief. I wasn't even 20 yet. And I would do like school chapels often. I still love doing Christian school chapels. Love it. Contact me if you want me to come out. But to me, they're just so much fun. But I remember I'd walk around and kids would be like, "How old are you?" And I'd say, I'm pretty old. "How old do you think I am?" And they'd say, "Well, like 20, 21." And I remember thinking, yeah, I am. No, I'm 19, but I'm close. Because it just seemed like, it just seems so old. And now I'm going to turn 60, and it's like, you're old, but I ain't dead. And I got so much ahead of me. I think mentally, I just don't see it ending anytime soon. I really don't. I think a lot of times, this is another whole deal, Bob. I know I will get back to the verses. Just let me share this one. It's just appropriate for me to share it right now. I do believe that a lot of people have been duped into believing that death is the gateway to life, and that eternal life only comes after you die. And I don't believe we were designed that way. I believe that Adam and Eve were not designed with death in their DNA. And so I think a lot of people start to die early by faith. They turn 60 or they retire at 65, and they just say, well, I'm on Even when you turn 40, a lot of times people say, well, it's all downhill from now, from here. In another 40 years, I'll be dead. I'm halfway through my life. I believe we start speaking that kind of stuff over us, and our bodies listen, and they say, well, I guess we can start shutting down. I'm not saying please don't, exasperate the whole situation, but generally, I think we can do a lot with our mental attention. And I am not in shape. I try to eat healthy, but I am not in shape. I need to get in better shape, but internally, I don't believe I'm dying. And I tell my body all the time, whenever my brain starts to go down that direction of like, well, you're getting old, I think, no, because we'll be over 200 before we die. And because I want my brain and my body to hear that over and over again. We're going to live to 250. So you just got to you just got to deal with it. You got to stay together. You can't be shutting down at 60. You're not even halfway through. Forget it. At 125, we'll start talking about being halfway through. That's the kind of stuff that I tell myself, because I do think that unfortunately, a lot of people start dying early because they believe they are due to die by a certain age. Anyways, okay. Now I'll get back to you. You draw your own conclusions, have your own conversations. Maybe we can talk about it again later. All right. So for 40 years, I'm sorry, Bob's just shaking his head like you can't even believe what an offshoot that was. There was a certain man named Zora, a man of Zora, named Manoah, from the clan of Danites, Daniel. He had a wife who was childless, unable to give birth. The angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, "You are barren and childless." Like, you always appreciate people who mention the obvious, right? "But you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine or any other fermented drink, and you do not eat anything unclean. You will become pregnant and have a son, whose head is never to be touched with a razor, because the boy is to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hand of the Philistines." So, pretty big message. So he comes to her. It's interesting that he comes to her, but her name isn't mentioned. His name is mentioned, but not hers. Well, I don't know. Part of me knows sometimes that could just be a cultural thing, right? The writer of it is like, well, women aren't deserving of being mentioned. Just like, a lot of times not a lot of times, I think every time you see like the number of people that are counted, it's always the men that are counted, the men and the boys. Even in the New Testament, the 5,000 men that were fed with the loaves and the fishes. That was we don't know how many women were there and children under the age of 12. So that's why and I know I brought it up, when we dealt with numbers in the book of Numbers, it's like, yeah, we counted everybody of a certain age who was male, but you could easily double that, and maybe even more so when you add in children under the age of 12. So that's why we come up with numbers, in the millions. And some people look at it and say, no, we're only talking, 10, 20,000 people. And I'm not going to die on that hill, but that's where it comes from. So her name isn't mentioned, but she is barren, which is a big deal because that means the family line ends. And this is often seen as a judgment from God. And when you've been living 40 years under the oppression of the Philistines, it's a survival slave mentality at that point. You're just like, I guess we deserve it. I'm not surprised we're being judged. And usually the judgment of God was seen like this. Either someone did something horrible in our past, which after 40 years, you could be looking back at probably your parents or grandparents, or God knows that our children will really mess something up really bad in the future, because God knows everything. So he's cutting off the family line now. You see, there was no grace, unfortunately, in the mindset of the Hebrews at this time when it came to God. He cut off a family line because somebody did something long ago or might do something in the future. So we're just going to end it now. Like there's they missed the heart of God. They missed the heart of God, even with all that they have at their disposal. And honestly, we do the same thing, don't we? We miss the heart of God, and many times we don't represent the heart of God because we want to represent God differently than He represents Himself, and they're not much different than us. But anyway, she gets a visit from an angel. Now, no mention of her freaking out. A lot of times people joke, or you'll see a meme of like, an angel shows up with the feathers and the eyes and the, multiple eyes and the flaming sword. And his first words are, "Don't be afraid." Well, dude, like you're completely freaking me out right now. Can you show up looking normal? But evidently, I don't know if she had a grid for visits from angels. People were very spiritual back then. Spirit beings from other realms were not, out of the realm of possibility. I don't know, but she did not freak out. And later we see that he looked awesome. And we'll go into that definition as well. But she didn't ask any questions. He looks at her and says, "You are barren and are childless." Like, again, obvious. Yes, no kidding. Literally everyone in town knows this. You could have scrolled Facebook and figured this out. Yeah, which reminds me of the scandals of prophets that have little minions going through Facebook posts, giving them little ideas and information about people. And I'm not, no. Anyways, just be careful. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. I do believe the Lord does speak. I do believe that when it's real, you just know it. The Holy Spirit in you connects to the Holy Spirit in them, and don't be freaked out by the details. Listen to the word that the Lord brings, and if it's true, it's true. Because details can be gleaned. And so, anyways, so she could have been thinking that. I don't know. But he says, "But you're going to get pregnant." Well, that's flipping awesome. I mean, she had to be excited. And then he says, "And you're going to be pregnant with a son." Well, that's like way crazy, even better. This day's getting better and better. A stunning, awesome man from some spirit realm shows up and tells me I'm going to get pregnant and I'm going to have a son. And then he says, "But just a couple things. One, take care of yourself, because alcohol can be an issue." And I'm wondering if alcohol was an issue for her, because moderate alcohol does not impact a child, but a pregnancy a little bit here and there. And we've determined that, but too much and you've got trouble. And so he tells her, "You need to stop drinking alcohol immediately. And you need to stop eating all the things that you're not supposed to eat." And you can go through that list. Well, we do actually in season 4. You can go back and listen to it. But he's like, "I want you to eat clean because you need to be focused. You need to be dedicated to this." Now, the boy will also be dedicated. He's going to be a Nazirite from conception, which is incredibly rare. Now, Nazirite vows, they would go as short as a month, and usually the maximum was about 3 years, where someone would take a Nazirite vow. And we'll get into that more later, but in another episode. But here she's given the parameters. This is going to be his life. He will be a Nazirite from conception. You're not drinking. You're eating clean. Now, he didn't give her the other the other conditions of a Nazarite vow, like not cutting her hair, not touching dead animals, but pretty much from conception, there was going to be something dedicated about this boy, and that's a big deal. So then, this stunning, handsome man disappears. He's like, he's gonna when your son grows up, he's gonna deliver the nation from the Philistines. Well, that's a big flipping deal. It's been 40 years. So the woman went to see her husband and told him, a man of God came to see me, and he looked like an angel of God. He was very awesome. There you go. I didn't ask him where he came from. He didn't tell me his name. But he said to me, you will become pregnant and have a son. Now then, drink no wine or other fermented drink. Do not eat anything unclean. The boy must be a Nazarite of God from the womb until the day of his death. We'll stop there. So she runs to see her husband, which obviously you need to be together in order to get pregnant. I think she was like hot to trot. I could be wrong, but I've been around people who are desperate to get pregnant. And my heart breaks for them because they desperately want a child. And then you've got other people who seem to have children when they breathe on each other. But in that desperation, I've also seen when they get pregnant how over the top they are. So imagine I can only imagine because I'm a guy and I have no idea, really. I really don't have an idea. But in my imagination, if I was barren and I knew I was barren and we had tried to have children for years, and I was told by an awesome being from heaven that looked like an angel of God. Remember, that's what she said. I assume he came from God. I didn't ask him any questions. You're going to get pregnant and have a son. I don't think she was like casual and going back to see her husband. I have a feeling she was excited. She was focused. She was ready. We're going to have a baby. Let's go. Oh, so wherever he was, like she tells him all the stuff, outrageous claims. A angel, a man of God, I think. It looked like somebody that God would send. I love that. Evidently, there were other spirit beings that would show up that didn't look like angels that God would send. I didn't ask him where he was from. He didn't tell me his name, but he looked awesome. And that word awesome means to cause astonishment, awe, fear, honor, respect, reverence. Like it was, none of those words mean scary or bizarre or dangerous. Like he was, I picture him what I would call like jacked. Like he was in a human type form. He looked very well built and powerful and light. Maybe even almost translucent. I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty cool. She said he was very, very awesome. But he said to me, because this is more important than where he came from or what his name is. You can picture Manoah's face is like, wait, what? Wait, okay. And then the big butt. And she could see him getting distracted, like already thinking, I need to know some more information because that's the way her husband is. And she's looking at him going, no. But listen to me. This is more important. We are going to have a son. How much fun is this? We're going to have a baby. And he's thinking, we went, whoa. First of all, practically nothing's happened since maybe last night. I don't know. But like, we don't know this. How do we know this? And she goes through the requirements. He is going to be a Nazarite of God from the womb until the day of his birth or death. Sorry. Why do I keep, that's the second time I've read that wrong. All right. So Manoah, his response is not to believe his wife and run away with her to have fun. He he prays to the Lord. He's a man of God. Bless God. He's not a man of the flesh. He's not given in to lust. He's going, I'm sorry. There'd be somebody who would exalt this response. I just think it's hilariously ridiculous. Manoah wants some heavenly help. He goes to God. He goes, listen, pardon your servant, Lord. I beg you, let the man of God you sent to us come again and teach us how to bring up the boy who is to be born. So Manoah's, I got to give him credit for this. He does, in essence, believe his wife. He believes that the man of God came. He believes that they are going to get pregnant and have a son, which is pretty awesome that he believes all that. But the timing of it for him is like not, we can't go make a baby until I get some answers. Because listen, he's like, pardon your servant, Lord. And that Lord means master, right? So he's got the slave servant mentality just geared into his body. And he realizes, okay, the master has given us a task, not just any task, a huge task. We are going to get pregnant. We are going to have a baby son, and we have to raise him a Nazarite, and eventually he is going to lead us to victory against the Philistines. He is the chosen judge, leader of Israel. The next one. This is huge. I don't want to screw it up. Never raised a child. And raising a child is hard enough, but raising the next judge of Israel is like, no way want to do that without some help. So again, when you're a slave and the master says you've got a big job to do, you've got to sit back and say, all right, I can't screw this up, because if I make the master upset, then the master's going to discipline me and possibly kill me for screwing this up. Now, I don't blame him for wanting more instruction. He doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself or in his wife to raise the child appropriately. So he wants to know how to bring up this boy. I beg you, let the man come down and teach us how to bring up the boy who is to be born. Again, he knows he's going to have a child. I got to give him that. This is like, the phrasing there is beyond that of just like the first 6 months. This is like, we want instructions. We want check marks. We want to know we have done everything we're supposed to do so that we're not the ones in trouble. There's a lot of self-rejection in this question. There's a lot of self-preservation, survivor mentality, slave mentality is all wound up in the question that Manoah is trying to ask God. This is even before trying to get pregnant. Now, I don't know what his wife is thinking at this point. Maybe you have some ideas, but my guess is she's like, well, all right, we don't have to go make a baby right now. I mean, maybe talking to God is a good idea. Maybe getting some instructions, not bad ideas. I mean, I get a sense from the way she presented things, she just really believed God was going to come through. She believed the word. She believed where it came from. She had faith that whatever it was going to work itself out. But not not so much her husband. So in verse 9, God heard Manoah, and the angel of the Lord came again. Now, if it stopped there, no big deal. But where does he go? He came again to the woman while she was out in the field, but her husband was not with her. This is awesome. He goes to see the woman again. I believe that's because she had faith. She believed that God was going to take care of it all. Now, God may visit. Sorry. So he goes to see the wife. Husband's not with her. She's out there in the field. They haven't had any fun yet. And this thought came to my mind. I thought, God may visit others about your questions. So if it's not for you, if you have this encounter with God and it's not for you, it could be for someone else. God likes people to get together. He likes them to work together. He likes them to have conversation and have relationship. And I believe that this was also, man, you strung those words together, didn't you, Bob? Yep. This was also a lesson to Manoah about how God views wives and women in general. Manoah was probably a bit shocked that his wife got the visitation and not him, but then when he prayed to God and God heard him, he fully expected the man of God to come talk to him. But he didn't. He went and talked to his wife again out in the field. And the wife, she runs to tell her husband, he's here. The man appeared to me, the man that appeared to me the other day. Manoah got up and followed his wife. And when he came to the man, he said, "Are you the man who talked to my wife?" "I am." So Manoah asked him, "When your words are fulfilled, what is to be the rule that governs the boy's life and work?" I want rules. Oh, so yeah. So she gets up, she runs and gets him. I think it's awesome that the man of God waits. God just stands there. We make God often rush around like he's out of control, And here he is. He's just, all right, go get him. She runs and gets Manoah. Manoah runs out into the field. I don't know if he could see him standing out there. I don't know if it's a cornfield, a wheat field, a grassy field. I don't know where she was. She could have been just in a desert field. I don't know. But he runs out there and he's like, "Hey, are you the guy?" "Yes." "All right. Well, what are the rules?" That's a slave mentality coming out. And what's he say to him? This is brilliant. The angel said of the Lord answered, "Your wife must do all I have told her." "Oh, she must not eat anything that comes from the grapevine or drink any wine or ferment drink or eat anything unclean. She must do everything I have commanded her." And Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "We would like you to stay until we prepare a young goat for you." And the angel of the Lord replied, "Even though you detain me, I will not eat of your food. But if you prepare a burnt offering, offer it to the Lord." Manoah did not realize that it was an angel of the Lord. The angel of the Lord, sorry. So Manoah inquired of the angel of the Lord, "What is your name, so that we may honor you when we say when the word comes true?" And he replied, "Why do you ask me my name? It is beyond understanding." So all of this conversation, I imagine, took place in a lot longer time period than what I just read to you, which is not unusual when it comes to the Bible. Because conversations are highlighted in Scripture, not word for word, just the main points. So his first conversation was, "What are the rules?" And basically his response was, "Your wife knows them already. I don't need you to obey rules. I just need you to love the child. Your wife, I need her to go on a diet, but that's because that's a conversation between her and I. And I need the child to be dedicated, to set him apart so people recognize him when he's walking down the road. They'll know that's the one that is going to free them from the Philistines." So here you are again. Here are the rules I gave your wife. And then Manoah's like, "Can you stay for dinner?" Which, of course, involves hours of preparation. I think Manoah's still maneuvering to have a conversation, to get some idea as to what he's supposed to do in behavior. What is this child supposed to do for work? What is he supposed to do for life? How am I supposed to guide this child as the father? He wants to spend some time. That's the whole idea of a meal, especially back then. It was the idea of hospitality and conversation and relationship. And the Lord says to him, well, I'll tell you what, you can go, you can go and get a goat, but you need to make it an offering, not a meal. I'm not going to eat with you. I've already, I've listened to you. I've come down here. I've met again. I waited for you in the field. We've had a conversation. You're not getting any rules from me because love doesn't operate that way. I need you to love this child and help him grow and nurture him in the ways of the kingdom. And that's it. So they make an offering to the Lord. They took a young goat together with the grain and they sacrificed it on a rock to the Lord. And the Lord did an amazing thing while Manoah and his wife watched as the flame blazed up from the altar toward heaven. The angel of the Lord ascended in the flame, and seeing this, Manoah and his wife fell on their faces to the ground. When the angel of the Lord did not show himself again to Manoah and his wife, Manoah realized that it was an angel of the angel of the Lord, not just a angel of the Lord. And he says, we are doomed to die. He said to his wife, we have seen God. Now that's that again, slave mentality. That's the victim mentality. We will never survive. We've seen something we're never supposed to see. He panics. He lives in fear. And I think we need to remember this when we go through the life of Samson. This was the culture of the home. This was the culture of the husband, of the father in that home. Fear God. God will kill you. If you mess up, your life is over. You're doomed. We live in constant awareness that we're not good enough. But his wife answers and said, if the Lord meant to kill us, he would not have accepted our burnt offering and grain offering from our hands, nor would he have shown us all these things or now told us this. So she's like, hey, relax. Calm down, husband. Calm down. If he wanted to kill us, he would have done it already. He would not have accepted the offering. He listen, look at what's already happened. We had a conversation with him. He wouldn't have told us all that he told us. He wouldn't have come back a second time. If he wanted to kill us, it'd be over. I think that honestly, this woman, although we don't know her name, is so impressive in her faith and recognition of God. She is at peace. She is insightful. She has a revelation. And Manoah, he has fear. I mean, for me, it definitely indicates why God went to one and not the other. He wants to encourage love and common sense. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, I know. We need more of that in our relationship. So anyways, verse 24, the woman gave birth to a boy and named him Samson, and he grew up and the Lord blessed him. That was 9 months. We covered 9 months in a sentence. It often happens in the Bible. I assume after that night, after the sacrifice, it was Manoah's like, well, I guess we got to go for it. Boom. Had a little fun. And look what dropped out. And then it says the spirit of the the woman gave birth to a boy. He grew. The Lord blessed him, and the spirit of the Lord began to stir in him while he was at Meniah dam between Zorah and Eshtael. So that's 20 years right there. We got 9 months in one sentence and 20 years in the next one. he grew up. He was blessed. He never cut his hair. 20 years later, he's filled with crazy expectations. People everywhere want to know when he's going to take over, when he's going to start leading, when he's going to start bringing because they assume it's an army that he's going to be leading. And where it says the Spirit began to stir him, that area of the valley was known for the secret places that they would go to have the military practice, so that they kind of had a standing army, but it was like volunteers. And this happens, all throughout history, where villagers would, meet in a remote field and they would practice. And they didn't bring their guns or their swords. They would practice with pitchforks and sticks, because if they did get caught, then they didn't have anything that was, considered military. But when he saw what the people were doing, he got excited. Now, maybe it was out of pride that he saw that and was stirred up. But the Lord wanted him to know, hey, it's now. Like, you're ready. It's been 20 years. Your life's been dedicated to me, and let's make this happen. Now, he's got choices to make. Oh, and the choices he makes. We will get into next week. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have just finished another episode of The Epic Narrative, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Same channel, same place. Have a great week.
Don't go anywhere. We've got Bob Thoughts.
All right, as you know, we have started one of the most famous judges on the planet, Samson. And it's fascinating to me how many people know the story. And honestly, I also know that there are, sorry, I have to chuckle because I said honestly, as though there are times that I'm not being honest with you. But I do want to, that always catches me off guard by people who are like, okay, let me be honest. I'm thinking, what were you the last 10 minutes? If now all of a sudden you want to say, let me be honest with you. Of course, I expect you to be honest the whole time. And so should you. You should expect me to be honest all the time. I should not have to say honestly, but I do. I don't know. It's like filler words, right? Anyway, I do know that in the study of man, right, there are many stories of Samson-like characters. And some would say that this is very similar to stories that you find in mythology and legend. And it's true. It is true. I'm not going to pretend that those stories don't exist, or that those references could possibly, be connected in some way to this story. And then you get people who argue, well, that, the story of Samson was written after these other stories. They just stole that story and put their own Jewish twist on it and all that stuff. Listen, if you don't want to believe the Bible, you don't you don't have to. Like, I'm fine. I do. As you guys know, I believe it's an inspired book. I don't think it's inerrant. I don't think it's infallible. But I used to. So if you do, I'm not going to argue with you or turn this, I'm not going to fight you on it. Just enjoy the stories, enjoy the possibilities that I throw out there for you to consider, and let's just enjoy. But so we begin Samson, and the dad and mom, to me, I just was reminded again, the dad and mom are just such different characters. The mom was clearly someone who was honored by God, because God shows up to her twice. And the dad is somebody who is clearly worried about what people think of him, because his main concern was, how do I raise a ruler of Israel? Like, this is on me. I've got to come up with the answers. And there's a lot of times that our understanding of who God is, right? Not a lot of times, actually, all the time. Our understanding of who God is impacts everything we do in life. And that includes parenting. And I do believe that the father had some misrepresentations of who God is based on the system of law that was put in place because of people's rejection of God's relational desires. And so he believed that God was ready to judge him should he screw something up. And that is not how God operates. And I wonder if maybe the dad had that view of God and the mom had a view of God, of a loving God, of somebody who was there and ready to bring goodness to any circumstance. Because, yeah, that's what I wonder. That's what I'm wondering today, anyways. Welcome to my thoughts, everyone, after that episode. Hope you're having a great day. If you can help us out at The Epic Narrative with some financial help, that would be fabulous. You can direct message me. We take it through Apple Pay. We take it through PayPal. We take it through Zelle. It is not a nonprofit organization. Probably will never will be, just because I just think that the government can get really involved in what you have to say when you come under their guidelines like that. So I'm going to try and stay as independent as possible for as long as possible. And we'll see where it leads us. But that means that you don't get a tax write-off if you help me out. But if you can help me out, that would be awesome. And if not, that's okay. I'll see you next week on The Epic Narrative.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to this podcast on any platform you use. You can also reach out to Bob for questions or booking at thebobswitzer.com or email him at thebobswitzer@gmail.com. See you next week, guys.